It's just a Neon. How fast could it really be? Famous last words from anyone who's lined up next to a Dodge Neon SRT-4. Dodge's SRT street and race team engineers took a regular old Neon, yes, the same car that your grandmother probably drove, and turned it into a turbocharged rocket that's still gapping people 20 years later. We're talking about a car that first rolled off the showroom floor in 2003 with a 2.4-liter turbo 4, cranking out 230 horsepower and 250 foot-pounds of torque, sending it to the wheels through a 5-speed manual transmission. For a car that looked like a basic Econobox, it was doing 0 to 60 in about 5 seconds, which was faster than most V8 muscle cars of the era. The heart of the SRT-4 is its 2.4-liter turbo 4 engine. It's paired with a 5-speed manual transmission, which was pretty much mandatory for anyone who wanted to send this thing into warp speed. You get 230 horsepower and 250 foot-pounds of torque straight out of the box, and in 2003 money, for around 20 grand, you were smoking cars way out of your class. Dodge didn't stop at just the engine though, although it is the centerpiece of the SRT-4. They did give it upgraded suspension, upgraded brakes, making it handle actually pretty well. However, Dodge, of course, chose to keep it humble, with roll-up windows in the rear, probably so you wouldn't get too full of yourself. And while it's generally a pretty bulletproof car, the transmission's third gear is known to leave the chat if the previous owner did beat on it a little bit too hard. Boost leaks and typical old car issues are certainly par for the course as well. Now let's be real for a second though. It is still a Neon, and you have to live with the fact that underneath all the turbo engine goodness, you're still driving what many to be considered a Neon. There's nothing really worse I can say about it. If you look past the Neon badge, the SRT-4 is a performance bargain though, especially in today's car world. With all that said, this car can certainly surprise the heck out of anyone who underestimates it. Its unassuming looks are frankly part of its charm. The SRT-4's ability to humble cars that cost 2, 3, 4, 5 times as much as it is part of why it's still beloved today. Now the SRT-4 is certainly a solid performer, but it's not 100% bulletproof. Here's a few common issues you should know before hopping onto Facebook Marketplace and picking one up for around 5 grand. First up, we're going to talk about third gear transmission problems, and they're one of the most notorious issues with the SRT-4's transmission. Depending on how hard the car was driven by the previous owner, and these things weren't usually babied, third gear is probably not going to be in the best shape. Over time, aggressive shifting, slamming it into gear can cause it to fail, so you're going to want to check the transmission thoroughly when buying one. Just throw it through the gears, make sure you do that 2 to 3 shift a few times. Now next up, we're going to talk about boost leaks, and like any turbo car, especially an older one, the SRT-4 is prone to boost leaks. It's common to see worn out hoses, cracked intercooler piping, or faulty connections, especially if the car's been modified kind of poorly, causing a loss of boost. This can lead to a noticeable drop in performance, of course, and is something you're going to want to address ASAP, although finding and chasing down boost leaks is a pain in the butt. The stock motor mounts in the SRT-4 are pretty weak and do wear out quickly, especially if you're launching the car hard or doing aggressive shifts. This is something that's not going to matter or going to matter a ton depending on who you are, but upgrading to polyurethane motor mounts is a common fix and will help keep the engine in place under hard driving. Now this is more of a wear and tear item, but if you are dealing with a stock clutch, it's probably been put through the ringer. Given the car's torque and its aggressive driving style of most owners, the clutch on these cars does tend to wear out pretty quickly. An upgraded clutch is a must if you plan on pushing serious power, so you might as well just go in there and do that anyway. Now, as with any car that's been around for a couple decades, you're just going to expect issues with aging electronics, potential rust, especially if it's a Northeast car, and general wear and tear, rips in seats, rips in headliners, sagging stuff, etc, etc. Inspect everything on the car thoroughly before buying it, and just expect to do a little bit of work to keep things running as they should. Now, if you thought the SRT-4 was quick in stock form, just wait until you see what it can do with a few mods. One of the coolest things about the SRT-4 was that Dodge actually offered factory Mopar tuning stages. Yes, Mopar, you used to be cool. What happened? Mopar Stage 1, well, for $400, Dodge would sell you a Stage 1 kit, which were larger injectors and a tune. This bumped the power to 240 horsepower and 260 foot-pounds of torque, not bad for 10 horsepower and 10 foot-pounds for $400. Now, Mopar also offered a Stage 2 kit to max out the stock turbo, with even larger injectors and a more aggressive tune. 260 horsepower and 280 foot-pounds out of this setup. Third up, we're talking Mopar Stage 3, and for those who wanted to go all out, Mopar would just go, heck, you want a bigger turbo? Stage 3 pushed the car to 300 horsepower and 320 foot-pounds of torque, turning the SRT-4 into an absolute monster. If the factory stages weren't enough for you, there's an entire world of aftermarket support out there for the SRT-4. Cold air intakes, downpipes, intercoolers, bigger turbos, bigger injectors, ECUs, you know the drill. We've done the turbo modification path a whole bunch. The only thing you really have to worry about is the stock bottom end, which is good for around 500 horsepower, so unless you're planning on building the engine, pace yourself when you're shopping for that big-ass turbo on eBay. The SRT-4 was kind of built for straight line speed, but you are going to want to tighten up the handling a little bit if you're planning to hit the twisties or just if you want to put that power that you're making down. Upgrading the suspension is an absolute must in this case, and lowering springs from Eibach or H&R are popular choices to drop the ride height and improve cornering. A beefier rear sway bar is going to reduce body roll, making the SRT-4 more stable when you're pushing it hard through corners, and it's a cheap upgrade that you can really feel. You're going to want to match this up with better brake pads and better rotors, and you're going to have a well-rounded setup that can stop just as well as it can go. At the end of the day, the Neon SRT-4 is a true underdog story. SRT took a basic family car, slapped a turbo on it, and turned it into one of the most iconic cars of the early 2000s tuner scene. Sure, it's still a Neon at its core, but it's a Neon that can make people regret underestimating. With its factory turbo, low cost, and incredible modification potential, the SRT-4 became a favorite for those looking to build something fast without breaking the bank. Even today, it's a sleeper that still commands respect on the street, at the track, or even just cruising through town. So, should you buy a Neon SRT-4? Well, maybe. It depends on what you want to do with the car. For what it is, for the price you pay, it's one of the most exciting cars you can own. It's fast, it's mod-friendly, and it has a legacy that still resonates with enthusiasts even today. If you've got an itch to own a sleeper that'll turn heads for all the wrong reasons and gap people for all the right ones, the SRT-4 might just be the car for you. If you're looking for something luxurious, refined, reliable, well then maybe shop elsewhere. If you guys like this video, let me know what car I should cover in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon to get notifications for all our new videos. Check out our website, which is linked down below to pick up a new set of wheels for your car, and I'll see you in the next one.